Hello everyone, this is the great Lord and Master Oseron the Eternal, or the artist formerly known as the Great Roberto. As you can see, my hair is getting really long. Yeah, it's at a stage where it's just, I can't really do much with it at this stage, but anyway, that's how it is. Right now, today what I want to get into is I want to get into the true tree of life. And I want to show how the trumps of the tarot, or how the whole tarot applies to the tree of life, or the true tree of life. You have to emphasize that because the so-called tree of life, which I show on a different video, is actually called the tree of death and stagnation. And the true tree of life is an empowering, occult series of symbols that, when it's in its true form, is glorious and perfect in every way. It's absolutely sublime. And the math of the true tree, which I'll show later, is absolutely beautifully correspondent to it. But today I want to talk about the trumps, or the 22 trumps of the tarot, and how they actually show the proper emanation of the true tree of life in its proper form. Okay? And the thing is, they even tell you that too, because one of the popular patterns of the so-called tree of life is the flaming sword configuration, and that's where the pattern, the normal pattern, comes. You can see here I have it properly labeled 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Well, the way they show it to the masses, I guess, if you will, is this is 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they call that configuration the flaming sword configuration. Well, it says right in the goddamn Bible that a flaming sword blocks the way to heaven, and it regards it to the tree of life. I forget the exact quote, but that's it. Okay, now, the trumps in the order of emanation. So in the beginning, actually I want to point one thing out before I get to that that's very important. As you can see, each of these groups of circle Sephiroth are different colors. Well, the reason I did that is because the tree of life actually breaks down into 4 worlds. And this top world is supposed to be the world of fire, and this one is supposed to be the world of water, and this one's supposed to be the world of air, and the bottom is supposed to be earth. Well, again, there's some shenanigans going on with that order, because the Jews put fire first, and then water, and then air, and then earth. And again, the whole Jewish philosophy of Abrahamism on all of its levels, fractally, is it puts the masculine in a superior position above the feminine. And when you do that, you destroy life. And that's why, for anyone who's on my Facebook, I talk about Abrahamism quite a bit. You know what I mean? And a lot of people must think I'm a super bigot or something like that, but it's not. I'm not. It's just the truth. I mean, it's really toxic. But the way it really should be, first, if you acknowledge the female principle first, is the feminine is first with water, and then fire, and then air, and then earth. And the reason I say that is because fire, the element of fire, is supposed to represent will, desire. You're supposed to. It's the passion that makes you want to do something. Well, there is no fire or will to do anything without the desired. The desired has to precede the desire, otherwise there's nothing. So the water comes first, the emotion comes first, and then the desire to get it comes after that. And then air, the intellect, how you're going to do it, comes after that, and then the result is the earth. So you got the desired, you have the object of desire, you have the will and the desire to get that, then the mechanics of how to do it, and then the result shows up in the world. This is why the tree of life, or the so-called tree of life, is a formula for creation. But the other way, it's a fucking it's backwards. Fire first, what the fuck? That's dominant, that's some kind of perverse thing. It's putting the will before the actual desire. It's like you don't even know what you want. You know, it's really, really perverse. So that's why I put the water up here and then fire. And we even see that in the zodiac, which will come in a different video. I don't, this video will be 6 hours long if I get into all that. So I just want to get into the trumps now. So if you have tarot cards, and this would be a good time to get them, and sort of correspond, because I have each pathway between the Sephiroth is numbered for the tarot card that goes there. See, the circles belong to the pips, the 1 through 10, because the tarot cards don't use this. They go 1 through 10. So that the circles belong to the pips, but the pathways in between the Sephiroth are where the trumps are supposed to go. There's other people who show it in a different way, but I don't really buy that, So we're going to start with the Fool. The Fool is 0. So we got Kether up here as 0. And the Fool over here is 0. Well, it's saying simply, don't go that way. You don't go this way, you go this way. With 1, the Magician. There's also one more thing I want to add real quickly, is the numbering of the Magus or the Magician as 1 and the High Priestess as 2 is backwards. But they had to do that, because if they put the High Priestess in the proper position of 1 and then the Magus is 2, it would have exposed the Tree of Life as being a deception, so they can't do that. So the Magician is 1. I'm just going to use that as 1 because that's how they have it. But in truth, the Magician is really 2, and the High Priestess, the feminine essence, is 1. So you got 1 as the Magician. So now from Kether to 1 is 1. Now this Sephiroth becomes alive. So this one's now alive. And remember, each triangle has to come alive before you can go to the next one. So this whole supernal triangle needs to come alive before we can jump into the next triangle. And then the same thing here. This triangle will have to come alive before we can jump into here, and so on. That's how it works. So you got the Magician going from here to here. Now this becomes alive. And this whole pillar of Boaz represents Kundalini, and this represents electricity. This isn't just electricity. Like the Tree of Life isn't about electricity. No, it's about Kundalini and electricity. And this is supported by vortex math and my other videos about the cube structure of numbers. Alright, so now we got 1 here. Now this comes alive. Now the High Priestess is here, but it's not really doing anything really yet. But the potential is there for it as 2. So now 3 with the Empress goes over here and activates this Chokmah. Now the supernal triangle is alive. Okay, now that this whole supernal triangle is alive, now we can start doing something with it. So now that it's alive, this whole thing is pregnant and alive. It can do its thing. Now 4 comes from here down to Tippereth, and this is the Emperor, right? And then 5, which is the Hierophant, goes down to 4. And it activates here. But now these are done. This comes over to 6. The Lovers is a masculine expression from here. That's what 6 is the masculine mask of Kundalini. And this charges here. And then 7 with the Chariot comes down here. So now 3 is alive in the order of emanation. Sometimes a pathway will be constructed as a potential by 0, but it's not active until the supernal triangle is active. That has to be first before that, but the potential can be there, and that's what you're seeing with a lot of cases. So you go 0, 1, 2, but now the activity is coming from here, right? But see, these Sephiroth don't get activated until this comes alive to activate the whole supernal triangle, but the potential is there on the pathway. That's why there's a lot of activity going over here, because you can't have the masculine cards of the Emperor and the Hierophant coming off the feminine. That just doesn't make sense. But you can have the masculine mask of Kundalini coming off that, because again, that is 3 and 6 are the masculine masks of Kundalini, the receptive and the exertive. All right, so now this is active with 3. Now Strength, the trump card 8, comes alive on this pathway to activate 4, but remember the supernal doesn't come alive until the whole triangle is alive. So 3 to 4, now to 5. Now the supernal is alive. Boom, this triangle is alive. So then you got 8, strength. Now 9, you got the hermit. Now this potential is activated with 10, the wheel of fortune. Okay, and then you come over here again. Now 11 is justice. 12 is a very interesting card I'll get to. This is the hanged man. Okay, and 13 now is death, activating from here is a potential still. 13 and 14 is temperance in this pathway between 5 and 8. And then 15, which is death, is coming in here. Now the interesting thing real quickly about 12 and 15 is 12 reduces to 3, and it shows the hanged man going from the feminine mask of Kundalini to his masculine mask with 3, and 15 the same thing. It's coming off of the 5 here, add the 1, and it becomes 6 for here. So it's telling you that this path, it's telling you that this is the case. Alright, so now we got this activated. Excuse me. I'm dying on camera. Okay, I know this has got to be crazy. So now 6 is activated with the masculine potential infusing the feminine. See, the 5 is actually a polarity flip too. 5 is a polarity flip. And then the masculine essence balances out the feminine. It gives the feminine aspect something to do. You know what I mean? It gives a means for the feminine aspect to express itself, and that's what 6 is. And now it comes over through 16, which is the tower, to activate 7. And what 7 is it takes a rigid structure that is the masculine pillar and it softens it up so it can move. Because until that happens, it's too rigid to move. It can't do anything. So it needs to just be softened up so it can move. Then you get 7. And then you come down to 8 with 17, the star, which reduces to 8. 7 and 8, the star, this pathway here. Now you come down to 8 in Yesod, and this is the true completion of the idea of the material matrix. With 8, everything that needs to happen now is done with these 3 worlds, and now it comes down to Malkuth in the kingdom of 9 with completeness. It's balanced, it's balanced completely with divine holy power, if you want to call it that, and the material essence with 9. And as we know, 9 and 0 are actually placeholders for each other. 9 is 0. So when you start stacking trees, this 0 right now is really 9, as I say in the other video. So this 0 isn't really 0, this 0 is really 9. It only appears to be 0 in this world of creation. We can't see this. We say this is 0, but you have to acknowledge 0 to allow the place for the divine 9 that has always been there. We just can't conceive of that. But now, when you start stacking trees, it splices it together. So that's the pathway. So now we got 17 is star and 8. 18 is the moon. These are both feminine cards coming from the feminine activation of 7. So 18. And 19 is the sun coming off of here. The masculine exertion, the masculine mask of Kundalini is exerting now. And then 20 with judgment. And then 21 the world, which is 3, which reduces to 3. So you take all the reduction. I hope this makes sense. I know I'm talking a little fast because I'm trying to get this done. But that's how that goes. So if you have your tarot cards, and if you can even see this properly, you can see how the emanation shows the proper order of emanation with that. Because what the Jews try to do is put the masculine before the feminine in a dominant position. And that's what we see in this world today. The world we live in today is a result of masculine trying to dominate nature into submission. That's the whole Jewish mythology talks about this all the time with their myth. Everything is about masculine trying to dominate the feminine, and that is just anti-nature. That's why I always talk about the Jews and being anti-nature because, well, they are. The feminine always has to come first, and we see that in the single-digit code of 0 through 9. It tells you that. Now, I just want to get into some of the math that supports this in the numerology. Now, if you add up 6, 3, and 1, that becomes 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's really interesting because that shows that the feminine pillar of Boaz is comprised of 1 and 0, Kundalini and nothing, but it's a masculine expression, so it's showing that the masculine aspect of nature really is an illusion. It really doesn't exist by itself. It can't exist without this. And that shows up as 10. And so that's pretty amazing. But if you multiply these, 6, 3, and 1, it comes to 18. And that's another separation of 1 and 8, but that becomes 9. Because of the masculine fusion of this, allowing it to exert itself, the masculine presence is justified. So with 18, but that becomes 9 again. Same thing with the pillar of Joachim, or however you pronounce that. But the same thing. If you add 7, 4, and 2 up, it comes to 13. But that reduces to 4. And 4 is Yahweh, the elements, as I've talked about in the other video. Now if you multiply it, it comes to 56. And 56 reduces to 2 via 11. So now you got 2, the masculine aspect. So the masculine pillar is only ever either a 2 or a 4. It's never anything else. Now here's the real cool part. The middle pillar, 9, 8, 5, equals 0. If you add that up, it comes to 22, which is the pathways between the Sephirot, 22 Sephirot, in the Hebrew alphabet is 22 letters and stuff like that. That reduces to 4 again, But now here's a really cool part. If you multiply these 9, 8, 5, it comes to 360. Which is, that's enough to tell you right there. 360, 360 degrees. So if you multiply these numbers, it comes to 360. So everything supports this as actually being the true tree of life. One thing I learned just the other day is this Sephirot here is associated with the planet Mars, Gabora. Number 3 is called a Gabora. It's called 5 in the so-called tree of life. But, this Sephirot is called Gabora, and it's the planetary symbol that goes along with that is Mars. Mars is a masculine planet, obviously. Well, it didn't dawn on me till the other day that March is symbolic of Mars, and March is the third month of the year. So now, and then Aries is the next month after that with April, which is 4. But the tarot card in the first decan of Aries is Mars, is symbolized by the planet Mars, and you see that here. So now we got 4, which is Aries, or the Emperor, is conceived and born from 3, which is represented by Mars, and is born from that. So it's telling you, even that is telling you that this is the proper 3, and 4 is born from that. See, the Emperor isn't the consort of the Empress, which is 3. The Emperor is the son of the Empress, not the consort. So Yahweh is the son of this, not the consort, not the mate. So therefore, you see 4 with Aries, and the Emperor is 4. 2. And then 5 would be the Hierophant, all these different pillars and stuff like that. So it's, again, pretty fascinating, and the math to go along with that is pretty good. I hope this was understandable. I'm going to watch this before I publish it. If it appears to be too rambling and chaotic, I won't publish it. But this is the true tree of life, and this explains the pathways of the tarot that go along with it. And the court cards, I might as well finish. Now the court cards are 16. Okay? There's 16 court cards, and they represent, really it's the zodiac. 12 houses of the zodiac is the court cards. But there's 16 of them, and there's only 12 houses, but there's 16 cards. Well, there's a real good reason for that. Because now the queens come first, and the Golden Dawn tells you this too. That's the thing. Because in the Golden Dawn systems, it goes to queen, and then what would be the kings are really called the knights. See, the Golden Dawn doesn't use king, the word king. They use knights. So it's the queen, and the knight serves the queen, and then the prince, and then the princesses. The Waite deck and other modern decks call this the king. So it's queen, king, and then Waite said the knights were here. And then the page, according to Waite, is here. Well, the reason it was used page as a masculine is because these two, both Tippereth and Malkuth, are actually androgyne creatures. So you got the mother, you got the father, and then the son is born in Tippereth, but the son is really androgyne. But he presents itself to us as a masculine force because we are, down here, the princesses are receptive. So the energy and power of the world is coming from the sun, which is represented by Tippereth. It radiates outward, and we become feminine and absorb the essence of the elements into us from us being receptive in states of meditation and allowing the energy to come to us. And then once the energy comes to us, the essence, the feminine essence of the element, and then we take it and apply it to the world in its masculine form, as its masculine form. And then it sends it back to God. So our bodies are here. The spirit of creation is here. We are the mirror of creation here, and we are also a cathode and the anode of creation. We're receiving divine holy power for our life, and the way we live our lives is what we give back to God, as they say. So what we take in and how well we can process and absorb that and display it in the world shows how well we know how well our connection to God or Source is. So this and this are actually androgyne creatures, they're masculine and feminine both. But we see this in this life as masculine because we're receptive here and open to it as from our feminine sides here. And then, the way we exert is masculine, and we're giving back to the God here, who then becomes receptive and takes what we give back to the greater knowledge of the higher mind, or the Akashic record, or the great library of time and history, whatever you want to call that. So I hope this makes sense, and thanks for listening and watching.